First thing up, surprise, surprise. Apple has been granted a delay in complying with the App Store changes that was required by the Epic ruling. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago that Apple had until December 9th, which is tomorrow. If you're listening to the show on Friday, that'll be the day before. So they got this just in under the wire. This happened the delay was granted today, which is December 8th, when we're recording the show, one day before they had to enact these changes required by the ruling in the lawsuit between Apple and Epic. So, what does this mean? This means that the appeal that has been granted to Apple means they are no longer required to comply with the app rule changes, which means they were to allow third parties access to be able to receive payments, not directly through the App Store. So this means that they do not have to comply with those changes by the deadline of December 9th, and the delay will remain in place until the appeal is settled. So in the meantime, the App Store will continue to work as normal. So we know appeals can take a long time. We don't know what the time frame is or when it's going to be on the docket. We're wrapping up the year, so I'm assuming courts are starting to kind of clear out their dockets for the year and pick up things starting in 2022. Um, but one thing that I did note from the article is the delay doesn't impact another part of the ruling by the previous judge, which allows app developers to communicate with users about alternate payment solutions outside of the application. So, meaning if you're in the App Store, you can still have those conversations and communicate with the users that you have in the App Store about alternate payments that are outside of the application. So those communications can still happen. The thing is, Apple isn't required to provide that within the app that is physically on your phone. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think that's a huge win for Apple at this point.
Yeah, it was a huge win. Kind of slimy, if you ask me, because they waited until the last minute to try to get this appeal, and it was granted a day before the actual dates when they would have to enact some of these changes, which leads me to believe that Apple probably even wasn't ready to run these changes, which is kind of unfair to Epic because I think the judge knew that or sided with Apple that the date was too soon and decided to grant them their appeal. Again, like you mentioned, who knows how long appeals last? And also, I think Apple knew that. So basically, they're just trying to drag this thing out as long as possible. And I don't know about you, but when I was taking college courses, the date was the date. you know, whether you had to stay up all night or you did it early, the date was the date. Every once in a while, you got a teacher who was able to give you some wiggle room, but the
Mhm.
date was the date. So
Yeah.
it is kind of Apple kind of flexing their muscles
Yeah.
that allowed them to, one, wait until the last minute and to request his appeal and actually get it granted. And two, I didn't see any dates about when, an extended date.
Right.
When they say a date is coming and you say, oh, please, 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 they say, all right, I give you another week, or all right, I give you another month, or I'll give you until this date. They didn't mention any of
Nope.
that stuff. So again, that's to Apple's advantage. They get drag this out as long as possible, which again, is a negative to Epic
Mhm.
because now they still got to wait around, yeah, and so on and so forth. So clearly, Apple's flexing their muscle. Kind of slimy, but I mean, a big company is a big company, and they're going to
Yeah.
use every advantage possible. Because if the
They
roles
have
were
very
reversed,
expensive lawyers.
right, and because if the roles were reversed, I guarantee you, Epic would be doing the same thing. So it's
Yep.
almost like it is what it is.
You had to expect this. And so what came down in the ruling today, it said, quote, Apple has demonstrated at minimum that its appeal raises serious questions on the merits of the district court's determination that Epic Games Inc. failed to show Apple's conduct violated any antitrust laws, but did show that the same conduct violated California's unfair competition law. So basically saying that they gave us the bare minimum needed to make this appeal valid. And that's why we went with it, because legally we had to, and they literally provided the bare minimum to satisfy the requirements for us to be able to take up this cause and render this decision. So again, it's definitely to the benefit of Apple. And I'm sure their lawyers are already figuring out ways to try and, keep pushing it back until they're eventually hoping that maybe Epic gives up, which I seriously doubt, because now their ego is in the game. But it does make it a little bit better for Apple.